Alright guys, I know it's been a while, so I'm with a husky in Nipigon. Just made it within my allotment time, so everything is cool. See, lights are flashing. The Jeep is here, all hoses connected, and there was a guy here, if you remember when I was empty, right? I was looking at a guy here who had 2 + 2 + 2, and I said, I'm so envious, you know. And now, yeah, I got these new lights, love them. These are much better than that junk I had, like the big ones. Yeah, so that's not much to see here. Yeah, those lights look cool. So yeah, this is Nipigon. I made it out of Manitoba. Yeah, on Saturday, so this way I can drive on Sunday, because Manitoba does not allow driving. Well, you see those lights, see how they flash? That's pretty cool. So let me just go. Nowhere to put the camera. Hold on. Yeah, so these are the, I bought 2 red ones for the back and 2, and see, they can do constant or like this. And they say that flashing, when they're flashing, the 3 AA batteries are good for up to 60 hours. And this is already the 3rd time I'm using these. The monster looks good on my truck, right? Check this out. Love it. All right, let me go prepay for fuel, and then I'll tell you a couple of stories that happened to me while I was driving. Check out the price. $1.40 Canadian per liter. Okay, I got fuel. Just need to park somewhere here. I cannot believe how long I am. You know, it's like a train. All right, where shall we park? What do you guys think? I've been lucky so far. I never had to back, you know, because when you're so long, and plus I have a stinger, I cannot back anyway. And so far I was lucky, I was able to pull in and park somewhere on the side, you know. And that's what I'll try to do now. And that's the reason why I wanted to get to this Husky, because I remember how big it is. And there's no issues, you know, driving in. We stuck? I don't know, I hope not. Wow, barely made it out. And what I did is, I needed more, even though with all my 4x4s, I didn't have enough weight in here, right? Because of the Jeep. And so what I did is, I dumped the air on the Jeep. Now we're gonna put it back. See, because the Jeep was, of course the Jeep is not, you know, driving, right? Like but I was afraid the neck would hit the Jeep when I drop it, but tried to raise my trailer, nothing happened. Like this thing worked, like the those, you know, support things, but over here nothing happened, and I suspect I know why, because I never added hydraulic fluid after. And now after I hooked up, now imagine I have hoses. Normally my trailer was here, right? Like here. So now I have this, I have neck, I have longer neck. So now there's much more oil in the hoses. And I'm just guessing, let me see. I'm just guessing. I'm probably a bit low. Maybe it's frozen. Yeah, you see, it's like 1/3, where before it was almost full. So I'm gonna buy some transmission fluid, because that's what JC recommends. Like, these are the guys that built my trailer, right? And it's like red, right? It's like automatic transmission fluid. It has a much better it handles the cold much better. But anyway, so that's, you see, that's what I did. I came out of that pumps over there. I just went like this, turn around. Except, yeah, the snow is so deep in there where the rear of my trailer is. But now I'm on safe ground. And see, like these trucks, they're useless. even with these tires, right? The tires, you know, I have pretty nice tires, but they're useless. Even on this much snow, it was very difficult. Anyway, we did it. I made it to my destination. Let me just catch my breath here. Okay, where do we? I'm not sure where do we put the camera. Okay, hold on. One last thing I gotta do is I gotta cancel my because I switched on duty yard driving because I knew that I would be driving from the pump, and I did in yard driving. And so I'm just gonna put it off duty sign. And something is happening with my tablet. Doesn't want to charge, you know, like it shows that everything is like, it's not an issue with the cable, I don't think, because it does show, you know, charging. Because if I disconnect it, see that sound, it's like low. And it took 4 hours to go from 1% to 11 on the battery. That's not normal, right? And I tried my regular you know, 12-volt adapter. I thought maybe they stopped working. No, they're fine. And yeah, charging and nothing. So I think I need a new tablet, you know, because this one is already, I don't know how old is it, maybe like 4 years. I got it a long time ago, but yeah, I did maybe 3 years. Anyways, well, what's happening is, so I expect to be in London, Ontario, probably Wednesday. So today's Sunday, right? I still have a very long way to go, and I have, so far the weather was good. The truck handled well, except in Manitoba, right before I stopped briefly at that Flying J in Headingley, right west of Winnipeg. That last stretch, it's all open fields. And the temperature was not too bad. It was, I don't know, 20 F or whatever, -8°C. But the wind was coming across the road. And of course, I have this big bucket, you know, on the scraper. And at the top, there's a big plate. So like I'm driving and the wind goes sideways and there's this plate. So the wind fills out the cab. And that plate acts as a huge sail, you know. And right away I see, why I cannot accelerate, you know. That wind was kind of like stopping me because of this big machine. But other than that, once I passed Winnipeg, there were you know, forests on both sides, and I barely made it before dark. I stopped. There was no food, no, I think they had some washrooms in there, but there's a rest area. The first rest area, I knew about it. I looked it up on Trucker Path. I knew there was a rest area right when you enter Ontario on Trans-Canada 1. And that's why I spent the night there. It was pretty warm. I ran my barn heater, you know. And then in the morning, drove 2 hours to Dryden. That was my first stop today. Dryden, where I was sitting, what, 3 weeks ago, right? The same Husky. So I got fuel over there, $1.26 per liter. Yeah, this truck, it just, fuel mileage is just killing me, you know, because of negative temperatures and winds. It was very bad. It's basically 68 liters per 100 kilometers, which is worse than 4. It's somewhere like 3.8, 3.7 miles per gallon. It's ridiculous. But this truck was always like this because of the big engine. And of course, you know, like I always say, you know, if you want to save fuel, you don't want to do heavy haul, right? So it's all fine. And so yeah, Dryden. So I got fuel. I went into the restaurant, grabbed some food, and on the night before I finally started doing my IFTA, because the last day of January, it's already the deadline where I have to submit my IFTA report for my office in Oshawa, Ontario, and then also New York fuel tax return, and Kentucky. And so I did 50% of the work yesterday, like did all the calculations. Now I just have to compile them in one spreadsheet. And when I'm home in Ontario, I'm gonna send it to IFTA office. And then on the way there, I still have a couple of days. In the evening, I'm gonna finish the New York and Kentucky. And then yeah, from Dryden, I just followed the same Highway 17 towards Thunder Bay, and my next stop was in this Uppsala, I think it's called Uppsala, UPC Uppsala. I forgot, but anyway, I was just choosing the point roughly 2 hours or 200 kilometers away, 120 miles. But of course, driving in the forest, it's 2-lane road. It takes much longer than 2 hours. But anyway, I go in there. It's a small, kind of like a truck stop. But again, like I mentioned, I don't want to turn around or go back. No, I mean, turning around is fine, but going back, it's a hassle, because technically I can do it, but first of all, I have to pull my rig in a super straight line. And then I have to go back, drain the air from the booster, and lock those arms, put those arms down so that it doesn't articulate, and then I can back. Otherwise, this thing will start turning, and I can damage something in there. And so I always, now with this setup, I'm always looking for a way to just drive in, and park somewhere on the side, like I did here. And so over there was gas pumps, and I saw there was like 2 trucks parked right, like you can drive in, and I see there's a lot of space. And I start driving in, I look in the mirror, and I see that the machine is moving right in the direction of that trailer where I was trying to park next to, And I know that if I had my 4-axle trailer like setup, I definitely could not make that turn, because that trailer needs a lot of room. But this one, I look, yeah, I'm not gonna make it, so I'm gonna stop like that, because I wasn't in the way. It's just that, that didn't look nice, because I wanted to park parallel to that guy. Instead, I parked right behind his trailer at a 45-degree angle, because I didn't want to hit him, because I saw that they were leaving soon. But anyway, then now I'm learning this stuff, right, about the booster. I look at the booster, and I see that my last axle is turned, and it's turned away from his trailer. I'm like, wait a second. I know what's going to happen. Once I start driving, that axle is going to drive my machine that was about to hit his trailer. Well, it was like still, 2 meters, 6 feet, but I saw that I could make it. But I keep forgetting about the, advantages of the booster or Stinger, because it drives away, right? And I just, I still couldn't make the corner, but I just drove like a couple of feet just to see what's happening in the back. And sure enough, I saw the gap between the trailer and my machine on the deck was widening, It's so cool. I love this Stinger, it's so helpful. It's basically, even though I'm 105 feet long, this thing turns, I don't know, almost like a 3-axle trailer, as if I have a 3-axle drive-in or something, And another thing that I wanted to mention is that I called the plant and complained about this jack stand, interfering with the connectors, right? And they apologized. They said, oh, we're gonna fix it. And I said, I don't want to bring the trailer. And the guy says, well, we'll come to you. And I looked up on the map, and actually on the way to Toronto, I'll be coming from Barrie, Ontario, and these guys, the plant is not too far. And I thought Monday I'm gonna call or email them and tell them, hey, can you guys do this, because I expect to be there Tuesday. I'll be somewhere in the Barrie area. And I said, you can send a guy with, all you need is a grinder and maybe a portable welder, and some other tools. Maybe I said maybe you can send a guy to a rest area on Highway 400, because I'll be like 30 kilometers away from your plant. I cannot go to the plant because I'm so, you know, huge, and plus my annual permit in Ontario only works on King's highways, as they're called, King's highways, or like basically state highways like in US, right? I cannot go on local roads. I need permits for that, which I don't want to do. And so I want to stop in the rest area and ask these guys to send somebody either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning, because it shouldn't take that long to just, you know, bend away that little connector in there. But I just want them to do it, because right now it's very difficult to hook up the air on the booster, you know, between the actual body of the spreader bar and the last flip axle on my trailer. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that so far I was lucky, didn't go into any scales, but I got a lot of attention from law enforcement in Saskatchewan. First, one guy starts chasing me. Well, not chasing, but he was like in the left lane, and he was hanging near my bumper, kind of like I can see that they're looking at my load. Then he passed me, then he slowed down, and he was doing like this. And I was on my cruise control, so I said, you know, I'm like doing 92, 57 miles per hour. I didn't touch anything because his lights were not flashing, right? So he's like a regular car. But he was doing this, you know, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. And then he left me alone, drove forward, disappeared, and then 2 minutes later, another car. Saskatchewan, what is it called? Saskatchewan Highway Patrol. Another car shows up and does the same thing, you know, just slows down in front of me, and I'm like, what the heck, like dangerous. And I think, well, what are these guys, on cell phones or something, you know? I couldn't understand what they were doing. Like, you want to stop me, right? But no lights flashing. They're looking. There's a guy in the passenger seat, keep turning his head at me, you know? And then I keep driving, then I see the first car parked on the side. On the side, kind of like waiting for me, you know? And I keep driving. And I changed the lane, because even though his lights were not on, but he was sitting pretty close to the curb lane, you know? So I changed the lane, I passed him, signal, everything is cool. And I look in the mirror, he's pulling out to come behind me, right? And then finally, I don't know, after like 20 minutes of this cat and mouse, I'm not sure what these guys are doing. Finally, the guy turned on his lights, and there was a exit lane, so I pulled into the exit lane. So the guy comes over and he says, hey, and I quote, we just want to check your 3 axles on the trailer. We were told to check the weight on your axles on the back. We were told. And he says, can I have your driver's license, your paperwork to this? So took everything from me. So of course now I cannot do anything. And he says, we're going to escort you. There's, and this was near Moose Jaw. He says, we're going to escort you. We're going to take the exit for Highway 2 North. And he says about 1 kilometer. 1 kilometer north of that, there's a scale. Some guy is backing next to me. Always makes me nervous, so I switch on my lights in case, so that he doesn't hit me. And he's backing. Like these people, I don't know, like there's nobody. Like there's 5 trucks in the parking lot. There's nobody, right? This guy parks right next to me. Now, how am I gonna get out of here? Now, the same thing happened in the morning when I was sitting in that rest area. Right when I wanted to pull out from that rest area in Ontario, some guy shows up and parks right next to me. And I said, buddy, can you at least, like, you know, park, just go back a little bit, like 10 feet. I don't want to hit you, no? I guess he got stuck as well, so that's what he was doing. he got stuck in there. Stargate Logistics. Okay, so he went away. Alright, left me alone. Cool. Yeah, I don't want people park next to me because I have to turn a left to go to the exit of the truck stop, right? And I'm so long, even though that Stinger helps, but still, don't park next to me, right? You see like huge oversized load, what's your problem, you know? But anyway, so these guys very polite, very nice. I don't know, 16 years old. One was short, one was huge guy, you know? And so two cops, two cars, one in the front, one in the back, because they said, you're so long, we're gonna escort you one in the front, one in the back. I felt like royalty, you know? So we drove like, I don't know, 2 miles, couple of kilometers to this exit, took Highway 2, went north, and sure enough, there's a scale there. And the guy opened some box, activated the scale. It was like a plate scale, you know, not a big one. So they cannot scale the whole truck. So they just scale me one by one. And I didn't have time. I wanted to record the numbers because I didn't, you know, all these truck stops over there in Alberta, you know, like you have to find a truck stop that's really big that can, you know, scale you and where you can get to and from the scale, right, without killing anybody. And actually, I tried to scale in Winnipeg because I know they can do this. You know, you tell them that it's like 2-in-1, that you have a very long trailer, and you tell them they have to switch some options on in there on the computer, and then you drive on with half of your rig, and then you have to do the other one, and it's all in one kind of like movement. And everything was cool. I started doing that, and then, you know, I won them before going in the scale. And then when I parked the truck, I think only my steer, my drives, and my Jeep were on the scale. The trailer was off with a booster. And I pushed the button, and the guy says, oh, it didn't work. Did not work. I said, why? Well, you have to go around and do it again. I said, you kidding me, right? And the truck stop is pretty busy. He says, well, you were going too slow, and the computer basically timed out, so it won't allow us to do the second, you know, way. It'll just consider this a single way, you know. And I said, forget it. So I just went and parked in there and grabbed something to eat. So I couldn't do it. And so now when these guys were checking my weights, I didn't have time to write it down. And the guy never gave me any pieces of paper. But basically, I know what happened is that when I was ordering my Saskatchewan permit, right, I told her, I said, okay, I'll give you my weights in pounds, because I said I do US most of the time, so I'm used to pounds. And she says, yeah, okay, I'll convert it, no problem. I said, okay, I want 60,000 pounds on my Tridem on the trailer. And she says, well, maximum we can give you is 27,000 kgs, which is like 69,100, you know? And I said, well, actually, I don't think this thing is that heavy, just I'm adding a little bit of weight for safety. And I said, 27 kgs is okay, just give me like your maximum and then put the extra weight somewhere in the truck, like add it, you know, maybe to the steer axle or drives. And the lady says, are you sure? I said, yeah. And so she does that. And then these guys start chasing me. We were told to check your trailer weight. Can you believe this? So basically, always be, when you ordering permits directly from the permit office, always be very assertive, you know, never change your weights. They don't like it, right? So first you're asking for 60,000 pounds, now you're saying, hey, it's not 69, sort of 59. 27,000 kgs was 59 something. And so they don't like it. She thought I was cheating, you know, but I know I hold these machines before. I know they're not that heavy. But yeah, but at least, you know, the guy checked my weights. He says, well, you're just a little bit over on your Stinger, because I increased the pressure. Actually, oh, that's one more thing I'm going to tell you guys. So everything was fine. The guy smiled, gave me all my paperwork, no ticket, everything is cool. And they blocked the road to get out from there, and he says, you're probably not gonna make this turn, because it was like 180-degree turn. And this is my third day with this, you know, monster rig. I look at it, I said, no, I can make it, because I know that Stinger just, you know, pushes me into the corner. And they looked at me kind of like dubiously. Okay. And one guy blocked that Highway 2 from the north. The other guy blocked that Highway 2 from the south. And Captain Sergey went as far to the right as possible. And then I swung around. And there were like very deep trenches on both sides of that little driveway to get to Highway 2. But I made it. The truck didn't fall into the ditch because I already have a feeling, you know, how it drives. Oh, and I asked him, I said, guys, hey, is it cool if I just go, instead of going straight on the Trans-Canada, like I'm supposed to, is it okay if I just go on this little service road, grab a cup of coffee at Flying J? And the guy says, oh, okay, fine. Because, you know, you're not supposed to, you know, get away from your route, but there's cops there, right? I said, hey, you guys already pulled me off my route anyway, right? But I didn't tell them that. But one more thing I learned, you know, I had no idea how to operate this Stinger because they never told me at the factory. There was no manual, nothing, no instruction. And the only thing I see there, there's air on, off, like kind of like on the Jeep, right? There's no regulator there. And the second thing is that little bar with holes and with a pin. And I knew that that was the only thing you can change, you know. And so I called the plant, finally got a hold of the guy, that was that Armando guy. And he says, yeah, that's how, he says, what's happening? I said, well, I feel like I don't have enough weight on the Stinger because the airbags are higher. On the Stinger, the airbags are higher than on the trailer. And of course, that means that there's less weight, you know, otherwise they'll be compressed, right? And I said, how do I adjust that? Do I use this little, you know, bar in there? He says, yeah. Just basically, he says, you need to add pressure to those big airbags. And when you add pressure to the big airbags, they'll push more weight to the rear, you know? And that's what I did. And when actually, that was before the cops stopped me. And so when they stopped me, I think that rear axle was, I think it was like 19,000 pounds, you know? Pretty cool. So it's like 14.1 Stinger, but thanks to these huge bags, you know, I can play with the pressure, you know, and so now I know how to do it. So I remember the factory like was hole number 7 from the factory where the pin was, and now I just raised it to number 8. So basically you have to increase the height of that bar, and that adds air. And of course that's pretty easy. First I pushed it down, I made it shorter, and I heard the hissing sound like air escaping. So of course, you know, that's not good. That means that the big airbags are losing air. And then as soon as I raised it by one hole, I heard like, you know, like that sound where the air is coming in. And that's it. I just moved it by one hole, and right away I saw that the airbags on the Stinger went down, right? And so they were pretty equal to the trailer. And that's how I'm driving now. So yeah, that was a pretty interesting, you know, experience with 2 cops. And basically, and then I asked him, I said, what were you guys trying to do when you were doing this? You know, forward, backwards, forward, backwards. He says, we were trying to read your plate. They were trying to read my plate. Like, I have my VIN number. I have my CVR number, but of course, this is Saskatchewan. They don't have access to Ontario safety records, you know, CVR, right? And the plate is open, but you know, I'm driving, and these guys were trying to do it in you know, during when we are moving, could not do it. That's why they had to stop me. And anyway, but all is well that ends well, right? So no tickets so far, touch wood, you know. Love it, love the rig, cannot believe I'm doing it, and love the Stinger. No issues with the Jeep works fine. Had to add a couple of chains in the middle. Actually, I put them over there where I saw the other guys are using it. Put like a cross, 2 chains in the middle, and in the back I think I switched the direction of 2 chains because they were keep getting loose, and I just switched the direction. No, I didn't switch the direction, sorry. I hooked them up to another axle inside under the bed of the machine, because this one that they were hooked to that part seemed to be moving or something. I don't know. Each time I stop, I check the chains, they were kind of like getting loose, you know. And so finally I rehooked them to a different part, and now they're solid, nothing is moving. And yeah, how the truck was driving fine, except when it was super windy and cold. And as soon as the temperature goes below like minus 10 Celsius, which is what, 18, what is it, 18, so 32 minus 18, what is that, 20, 38, 20, 16, right? 16, 14, 14. Yeah, as soon as the temperature goes below 14F, it starts, you know, affecting your fuel mileage. I see right away that, you know, I checked my instant mileage, you know, liters per kilometer, it gets worse. And I started doing this during the first hour. When it's super cold, during the first hour, I don't drive fast. I just drive like 80 an hour, 50 miles an hour in 8 low, because I see that the transmission and drive axles are totally cold, right? And when the temperature goes up, at least to 100F in the tranny, and then I see right away that it becomes much easier for the truck to drive, and the fuel mileage improves, you know, like the instant mileage. So yeah, so that's what's happening. And I need to take a couple of days off, of course, because in Canada, you need 48 hours off after 14 days. And I don't remember how long I've been driving, but I've been a lot in Canada, you know, and that's one rule that they don't have in the States. So even though they allow us to drive longer during the day and we can have more hours compared to US drivers, but we have this rule they don't have in the States. So 48 hours, wait a second, not 48, 24. Yeah, I think it's 24. So you need to have at least one 24 period off after 2 weeks of work. And so this guy offered me to move an excavator right after this one when I deliver this, like a local job, and I said no. I need to do a reset my logbook and do my stuff, you know, do the laundry. I need some respite, because I did a lot of miles. It was 2,000 miles to Alberta, and now it's 2,000 miles back. You know, usually I don't drive this much, right? But anyway, yeah, after this, I already eventually I'm going back to Alberta to grab the other one, but we'll see if I might if I luck out, so to speak, and get a load so that I don't have to drive empty. And so that's my goal, is to find the load, I don't know, either from US to Western Canada or from Toronto to Western Canada, somewhere. Just I don't want to spend again, you know, money on fuel for 2,000 miles. Anyway, we'll do another update, or maybe I'll just show unloading on Wednesday. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.